Yep.
I call this meeting to order. This is the Livingston Parish Council meeting. Today is November the 21st, 2019. It's quite a few minutes. It's about 6:50 p.m. All right. Invocation. All right, it's me. It's my turn tonight. So everybody rise and let's bow our heads. Dear God in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day. We thank you for allowing us to arrive here safely and conduct parish business, Father. We know that Thanksgiving is coming up, Father, and we want to just be thankful in our hearts and show how appreciative and thankful we are for such a beautiful world and a beautiful country. And we are very thankful for the veterans that have fought in the past and fought to keep us safe and secure our freedoms, Father. We say a special prayer for the needy and for the sick, Father. If it be your will, you be with them and you heal the sick and you be with the needy. And Father, just help us to be the people that you would have us to be. In Jesus Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Okay. Peter King, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Roll call. Roll call.
Mr. King.
Here.
Mr. Greenhouse.
Here.
Mr. Ard.
Here.
Mr. Mack.
Here.
Mr. Wascom.
Here.
Mr. Childs. Mr. Harris.
Here.
Mr. Avery.
Here.
Mr. Lavelle.
Here.
All right. Cell phones, we would ask at this time for everybody to ensure that their cell phone is either on silent or vibrate such that the meeting doesn't get interrupted. Public input. Anyone wishing to address any of the agenda items is welcome to do so. All you have to do is when that agenda item comes up, you just simply raise your hand like that, and we'll call upon you when it's time, and you can come up to the podium and state your name and address and say whatever you'd like to say about that particular agenda item. Okay, presentations. I don't think we have any presentations tonight. Is that correct? All right. At this time, we'd like to move agenda item number 11 up the list and go over that at this moment. Say that again?
Go ahead, I guess it's okay, since it's marked.
Okay, this is, agenda item number 11 is Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness.
Thanks for the give you, sorry. Before I get started on this, Mr. Chairman, I just got a note, sent to me that, Blood River was completed today.
Oh,
Yeah, so it's done.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yep, and Middle School Yale, they've already done 8 miles of it. And we started on Beaver Creek, just now starting on it, and Taylor Branch will be next. All right, Cool. On my agenda, this time of year for, the funding that we talk about every year, LGAP, it's the, water enrichment. That's the process that we've been doing for several years now in Mr. Lobel's district to, complete that water line. Well, I'm asking for a resolution to apply for that grant. We can apply, you can see in there what we apply for. They could come back like they did last year, and I think they gave us $12,000. You can't do anything on a major water line with $12,000, so we just rat hold it, leaving it there, because it's a 2-year deal. And if we can get it again, then we should have enough money to get to the next 3 or 4 or 5 houses. We just piecemealing it every year until we connect the 2 lines together. So I'm asking first for a resolution to apply for that grant.
I'll make that.
We got a motion by Jeff Ard for that particular agenda item. We got a second by Tab Lobel. Any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right.
All right, and as the parish is moving towards the LWIN system, the statewide radio system that has better coverage and very dependable coverage, we're constantly buying radios. So B is to apply for the same grant to purchase more of the Motorola 700 radios to hand out to first responders. And just so you know, we just ordered a bunch through SHISHIP. We hope to have the sheriff's office and all the fire departments up to date with these two grants.
Okay, we got a motion by Scooter King, we got a second by Jeff Averett. Any discussion from the audience on that particular agenda item? No? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? No? Okay.
All right. Thank y'all so much. Have a good
Mr.
evening.
Harold, thank you. Thank you for all you do.
All right, agenda item number 8. This is to adopt a resolution that supports efforts on the federal level to help Louisiana achieve critically important increased revenue sharing through the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act. This is GOMESA. Mr. George Winfrey, Office of the Governor of Coastal Activities. Does he happen to be here tonight? Okay, I'll try to do the best I can to explain what this is, but basically, I ran this by the parish president and his administration. Mr. Mark Harold, also took a review of this. This is a good thing for our parish, and, I support this, resolution. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody from the audience have any questions about this particular agenda item? All right. So do we have a motion on the floor to adopt a resolution that supports the efforts on the federal level to help Louisiana achieve critically important increased revenue sharing through the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act? Got a motion by Jeff Ard and a second by Tracy Gerlinghouse. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Agenda item number 9. This is the adoption of the minutes from the November 7th, 2019 regular meeting of the council. We got a motion by Tracy Gerlinghouse to accept these minutes. We got a second by Bubba Harris. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Agenda item number 10. This is gonna be the parish president's report.
Okay, I don't know how many of you were around to hear, but tonight we are introducing the final 2019 and projected 2020 budgets. You have a copy of the proposed budget in front of you. During Finance Committee, Mr. Gerlinghouse asked that we, when it goes up for adoption, that we add the language that we are going to have 62.5. We're gonna adopt the budget, or introduce the budget for adoption with the additions of 62.5 to update the master plan study and 125,000 for a master drainage study, correct? So that is what we are asking you to, vote to introduce tonight. I believe, I don't know if Miss Cindy wants to read.
We wanna add those 2 line items in. Do you know what number they would be or where they would go?
They're gonna come out of the general fund.
We wanna do that before we introduce it, so we don't have to amend anything. So, we'll do that and put it in the general fund before we introduce it.
Yeah, so how do we do that? Can you,
Just say you wanna do it, and put it in there.
we'll just, whoever, makes the motion to adopt 2020 budget,
I'll do that.
all you have to do is, just, when you introduce it, my bad.
Yeah.
Just make that, just throw that in there.
I'll make them request.
Okay, this is gonna be proposed ordinance 19-38. This is an ordinance amending the 2019 budget and adopting the 2020 budget of the Livingston Parish President Council relative to the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service funds, and capital improvement funds. The public hearing will be on December the 5th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m.
All right, so we have an introduction.
Introduction to include the 62,500 for the master plan zoning, and 125,000 for the master plan drainage.
Okay, so we got a motion on the floor to introduce the 2020 budget with those 2 modifications that he just stated. And we have a second, anybody? Second by Jeff Ard. That was by Tracy Gerlinghouse, by the way. any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? All right. Call for the vote.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Greenhouse,
Yes.
Mr. Orr,
Yes.
Mr. Matt,
Yes.
Mr. Wasbaum.
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Avery,
Yes.
Mr. Lidwell.
Yes.
Thank you, council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Okay. Now, since we already did agenda item 11, we can go to agenda item number 12. Public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-20. I will now open the public hearing. Sandy, can you read this ordinance, please?
Yes, this is, proposed ordinance 19-20, it's an ordinance as follows to it, revoking the dedication, abandoning, quitclaim in favor of Cheryl Lewis Otrapont and Jimmy R. Lewis, a 30-foot all-purpose servitude identified by the crosshatch portion as shown on the preliminary map, showing the revocation of a 30-foot all-purpose servitude across a 2.8-acre tract. Lot E and Lot 1 located in Section 7, Township 9, South Range 6, East Greensburg Land District, Livingston Parish, Louisiana, by Brett J. Martin, professional land surveyor, dated May 6, 2019.
All right, this is a quitclaim servitude revocation. Does anybody from the audience have anything that they would like to say about this particular agenda item?
Sandy, they want me to go through with this, or they want me to
I'm
take
gonna
this?
defer it for 3 months.
Okay. Does anybody from the audience have anything to say? No? Well, then we now will close the public hearing. All right. So it sounds like Mr. Tab has communicated with the individuals and that this needs to be deferred until February the 27th. That's 2/27/2020.
They're really hoping they'll either be dead at that time or the problems would have worked out.
So we do
I
need a
can be-
motion to defer that?
What's that?
Really don't,
Okay.
just defer it.
That agenda item's been deferred till 2/27/2020. Agenda item number 13, public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-35. This is to acquire immovable property owned at 15933 Cypress Point Lane, Prince Summit, Louisiana 70733 for $165,500 as part of the Hazard Mitigation Grant Program project number FEMA-4277-DR-LA-024 in Livingston Parish. All right, so now we will open the public hearing. Sandy, would you like to read that ordinance?
God bless you. Pretty much read it. It's a proposed ordinance
Again?
19-35 is an ordinance to acquire property for the parish of Livingston pursuant to the flood mitigation assistance program, project number FEMA 4277 DRLA, near Livingston Parish.
All right. Does anybody from the audience have anything to say about this particular agenda item? Nope. All right. We'll now close the public hearing. Anybody from the council want to say something about this?
This is your district, Mr. Avery. You make a motion, I'll second.
All right. We have a motion on the floor by Jeff Averett to adopt LP ordinance number 19-35. We have a second by John Wascom. All in favor? Any opposed? Yep. All right. Agenda item number 14. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-36. This is a quitclaim servitude revocation. Rhonda Properties LLC at 27793 Louisiana Highway 22 in Springfield, Louisiana. We will now open the public hearing. Sandy, would you like to read the ordinance?
Yes, this is proposed ordinance number 19-35. This is an ordinance as follows to it. Quitclaiming and transferring any and all property interest in the favor of Wanda Properties LLC, a certain 0.2398 acre tract, as shown on the survey map of Wallace Adams dated May the 5th, 1989, and recorded in the office of the clerk for the parish of Livingston in plat book 72, page 72. That's file number 95782.
does anybody from the audience like to address or say anything about this particular agenda item? No? We will now close the public hearing.
Motion.
Got a motion by Tracy Burlinghouse
Yeah, that's me.
to, adopt LP ordinance number 19-36. We have a second by Bubba Harris. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No? All right. Agenda item number 15. This is a public hearing and adoption of LP ordinance number 19-37. New language for the disclosure and notification of pump grinder sewage installation. All right? We will now open the public hearing. Sandy, would you like to read this particular ordinance?
No.
No.
That was funny.
I thought it was good.
This is proposed ordinance LP 19-37, ordinance to add section 70-235, notification and disclosure of pump/grinder sewerage installation. The code of ordinances of Livingston Parish by mandating to any prospective purchaser of property the disclosure of a pump/grinder sewerage installation and the requirements thereof.
All right. Is there anybody from the audience that would like to address or say anything about this particular agenda item? Come on up, and don't forget to state your name and your address.
Herb Gomez, representing the 500 or so realtors in Livingston Parish. I live, at the risk of offending, I live in Central, not Baton Rouge, so. That may make things worse, but. This is, you introduced an ordinance at the last meeting, and this ordinance has changed slightly from the last meeting. You've added another party in who has to disclose, who probably doesn't know that they even have a pump grinder. And I would ask you to defer it until we can get some clarifying language in and maybe take it up at the next meeting. Thank you.
I'd like to say that, our attorney is the one that put that in this.
Yes, sir.
ordinance.
Yes, sir.
But why don't we just not have grinder pumps at all? If you're in a neighborhood that has grinder pumps established already, the lots that aren't developed, then we'll allow the grinder pumps to get in. Outside of that, why don't we just get rid of
We
it?
could, but it doesn't fix the disclosure on the ones that are out there. I think that's what the whole thing was, disclose
Well,
the ones
we
that
can
are
do
out there.
that, but
I don't disagree.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we might want to get some more advice maybe
On
from some
subdivision type development, not just
engineers or
individual.
something to see if, I mean, there may
Yeah,
be
that
some
goes back-
justifiable situations
There
where this
are.
might,
That
Need a
goes
grinder
back to, letting individuals do it, where if they turn around and sell that property and they don't tell the people about it, then what?
It's still the same thing, that's
Yeah.
what, they don't,
Same
No
thing you got right
disclosure.
now.
I think we can probably put some clarifying language in there to make sure that the person that has to disclose it actually knows about it. Is there a part of parish government where that you could find out where all these grinder pumps are located? Permit office or something like that?
that would have to be, Kenon over at DHH or whatever they call it now.
Can
And
we-
they don't, we don't, that's
Yeah.
a state agency.
Can we
And that's
talk-
the problem, is there's
Understand.
no,
can we talk real quick about specifically what was added?
yeah.
Yeah, you added.
Tell him, it'll be good.
Yeah, you added in, the fourth whereas, it says, to be informed by the
You got it.
builder
So
and or
tell me
developer.
again where it's at now?
Whereas,
The
but
fourth whereas,
way down.
it's in there several times. Added the term or any future private sellers.
Yeah, or any future private sellers of real estate property, and then it says it again down here.
And then again at the bottom, 70235, second
Well,
paragraph.
That wasn't in there in the last one, they added that
Yeah,
since y'all had that meeting.
That was not introduced. And,
It stops right here.
What specifically is the problem with that wording?
well, number one, it wasn't introduced. We were fine with the ordinance
Okay,
prior to that.
we can amend it,
Because-
right, and adopt it as amended, but what is the specific issue with that particular?
Because
wording?
in the first ordinance, you were asking people to disclose that knew about it. In this ordinance, you're added a person that probably doesn't know they even have it. And you're putting them in jeopardy, the seller in jeopardy of a $500 fine or 10 days in jail, when they probably don't even know what they got.
I agree, we need to talk about it with Chris and see what we can change.
And I think we can maybe put some clarifying language in.
I know, but we wanna know why it's.
party is on the property.
And so, Mr. Gomez, what it's saying, I think, is that the first part that was introduced 2 weeks ago covers
Developers and builders.
developers and builders.
Mhm.
They have to disclose to that person, so when that person goes to sell it, he gonna know whether he has one.
Yeah, that person, yeah, but all those that are out there now probably do not.
I agree, but the ones
So
that
it,
are out there.
that's why I say, well, maybe we could put some clarifying language to make sure that those persons, those sellers now who are required to disclose, were disclosed in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say, all the ones that are out there now, most of them do know they have it now, but I understand what you're saying, but you got a grinder
What's
pump
that?
on your house, there's about a 90% to 90 to 95% chance you know you got one. But, you know, I understand your point.
Okay.
Anyhow, defer it 2 weeks, let's,
What you want to do?
and if we don't wanna change that language, we'll leave it in.
All right, so is there any more discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item?
No, there's not.
Yes, there is. Yes, sir. You certainly are. You're everything to me.
Dalton Sims, I'm at 19276 Lodge Stafford Road. I'm kinda old, but, I'd like you to explain what's the reason for the grinder pump. They don't hold up, and what's the reason for doing it for an individual home?
I have no idea, but obviously they were manufactured for a specific reason, and that there is a just cause out there, or they.
If you have a modad and everything and it's working right, a grinder pump don't work.
If you have to go to a sewer treatment facility, and typically you can't use a modad, it's a closed system, so you need, and you've gotta go uphill. You gotta use a grinder pump, you gotta have something to push it uphill, you just, I mean,
That's
I
what
think
they
he
have.
knows what it's for, he's just saying, why are we even talking about this, cause it should just not happen.
well, I mean,
That's what we said.
We're trying to get away from it. That's what
Yeah.
we're trying to do.
but, you know, you said you have developments that are 3/4 done, that were established with the grinder pump, so you just can't tell them, you can't finish that all over that, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, I have one on my house.
I just hate to deny if there
Yeah, you
is-
had
is a
trouble with
just
yours
cause.
too,
I
huh?
mean,
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
And it's not.
I'm sure
you
it could
don't
be
wanna deny
engineered to
on
where
the
it actually
individual.
worked.
Individual, but they still need to disclose it, is what the whole thing is about, disclosing it, make sure everybody knows it's there.
I agree with that.
What is it?
Okay, so,
Got a motion on the floor.
did we answer your question? I mean, maybe not
No,
really,
not
but,
really.
but we could answer
You
it
don't
next
have
time.
an answer for it?
I don't, but.
You wanna know why you use grinder pumps? Is that your question?
You want-
It's to move the
What was the
stuff that needs
purpose?
to be moved.
Because you can't put sewer into a forced main, or it'll go back up into the house. You have to have a check valve or a pump to inject it into a forced main, and you have to grind it to get it into it. That's the reason you use grinder pumps. Does that answer your question?
No, that's what they got lift pumps for.
No, to go into a forced main, you got sewer under pressure. And to inject a house sewer system into that, you gotta have a pump to get it into there. Do you understand that?
Okay.
I don't know.
I mean,
Is there any more discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Well, we was on the, come on up.
this is worse than mosquitoes.
Just
My
never
name's
go.
William
Almost.
Boyko. I live on George White Road in Holden.
Right.
All right. Grinder pump don't treat sewage. So you're gonna make homeowners do that where there's not a sewer line?
What did you say in the
It doesn't
beginning? Can you
treat
repeat
sewage.
that?
Grinder pumps don't treat sewage.
Correct.
Correct, they move it.
Okay. So you're gonna acquire aeration too? That's what treats sewage.
Yeah, no, grinder pump is not for treating. It's
No,
just
it grinds up the toilet paper and the waste is
to
what
get it
does.
into a forced main, to get it to a treatment facility.
So,
And it
so to
grinds up
answer your
the
question,
waste.
no, whenever you have a grinder pump and a lift pump to bring it, you're not gonna have to treat it, cause it's going to a treatment facility. So So it just makes it
So
more
it's in the
liquid
sewer
to get it up
system.
there easier, so it can go to the treatment.
So like where I live, there's not a sewer system. Are you gonna require grinder pumps where there's not a sewer system?
We definitely are not requiring anything.
You
Not
just,
at all.
you gotta
What
What
we're
are
work
doing
y'all
is-
talking about that? I mean,
No,
cause
no,
it does no
no.
good if there's not a sewer
No, the
system.
state,
I'd like to say
state
one thing.
regulates.
And I think it's two
And we
separate
try to
things.
get rid
See
of
what you
them,
call
and the ones that are there, we wanna make sure people know that they're there. That's the only thing we're trying to change.
Okay.
Let me say something.
Yeah,
please.
it's,
Okay, we have a comment about, to answer your question, though, is no, sir, we will not require it.
And the way most grinder pumps is got in this parish is through developers.
Right.
The developers didn't wanna spend the money to tie into a sewer system where it would be treated. It was gonna cost them a lot more money than grinder pumps. So they went and put grinder pumps in,
Right.
and they didn't tell anyone about it. And that's how it all happened in some of the developed areas I know of.
I was just trying to figure out if all homeowners are gonna have to have.
Right.
absolutely not.
That's what happened.
Okay, all right, thank you.
There would be a riot if that was gonna happen.
My sewer works fine. Okay, is there any more discussion from the audience?
No?
Mr. Bobby, did you get to say what you wanted to say? Yeah. Okay, Jeff, you made a motion. No, you withdraw that
We gotta
motion?
call it
Jeff,
withdraw.
Jeff withdraws that motion. Okay, we will now close the public hearing. Lost track.
What's your motion?
No.
Okay, so do we,
Make a motion to table this 2 weeks?
we have a motion on the floor by Jeff Ard to table this 2 weeks. We have a second by Jeff Averett. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that's getting tabled.
Move on.
Okay, this is agenda item number 16. This is an introduction of an ordinance. This is to amend chapter 50 of offenses miscellaneous by adding section 50-15 syringe services program. Okay? I'm just gonna tell you what I've come to learn, the little bit I've come to learn about this program over the last 30 days. And so, put this on the agenda so that the council could decide if they were going to introduce this ordinance or not. So basically, what I understand, that this is a fairly funded program, and that if this ordinance is adopted, this would allow a private entity to come into our parish and abide by the rules of this program, which basically is syringe services program where you exchange syringes to try and help prevent the spread of disease, okay, such as certain types of hepatitis and other diseases and such that. Okay, this, from what I understand, I would like to say that I have ran this by the parish president and his administration. And from what we have reviewed, this is to no expense of Livingston Parish or Livingston Parish citizens. This is specifically a ordinance that allows private entity to come into our parish and operate under such guidelines of the program.
Well, I would like to say this.
Okay. Yes,
If you
sir.
don't mind.
No, I don't mind. I think it's great.
I know we had a councilman that was opposed to this, and I can understand why. Because people that are diabetics and having to give themselves shots and things, they have to buy their needles. And, that's not a good thing. But there again, I went and sat down with, what was it, 4 doctors, Angie, that day? And, they was explaining all of this. Now, that's been over a month ago, so I probably don't remember all of it. But anyway, what it's for, actually, is to keep down hepatitis mostly in parishes where this is enforced. or used. But you go in and you're using drugs, put it bluntly. And to keep from spreading diseases or getting diseases, you turn in one needle, they give you a new one. And they try, at that time, to talk to the person and get them off of drugs. So it's trying to help people that actually needs the help. It's not just gonna give you a needle, you know. And if they will listen, and the ones that don't wanna listen, they're not gonna go back and get a needle anyway. So, but that's basically what I got out of it. And it's not gonna cost the parish anything. But I will say this, Livingston Parish is one of the highest, rated parishes as far as, hepatitis with bad needles, dirty needles, so.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. Does anybody from the audience have anything just they would like to say about this particular agenda item? Come on up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Muriel Laws. So I just got totally confused about this program. This is a needle exchange program?
We have somebody here that knows more about this program, if you'd like to hear from them more specifically.
You know, because it just left me with like 4 or 5 questions, just the introduction of it, unless it's on the website where we can actually look at it, because what I hear is that you want to adopt a resolution for the ordinance, or you just want to adopt the ordinance
This
for
is
it?
an actual ordinance that
Okay.
would allow such program
Right.
to exist or, you know,
Yeah.
work, whatever, how you want to call it. Allow a private entity to come into the parish and abide by the guidelines of the program. And
So how would people know?
how would they know? Well, this particular private entity will probably advertise, but come on up, ma'am. We have somebody here that may be able to answer that. So could you, maybe Ms. Muriel, you wanna just ask one question at a time? Or y'all would like to come up together?
Let me just introduce myself. I'm Dr. Gina Lagarde. I'm the Regional Medical Director and Administrator for the Office of Public Health, and I oversee the 5 North Shore parishes, which includes Livingston Parish. So you were asked, I can address any of your
Okay, so a
questions.
couple of questions. How would they know about your program?
Okay.
The second question is the exchange of the needle.
Mhm.
What's going on with the needle that's being exchanged? Is it being recycled or?
Oh, no.
or, it's being
No, we
disposed
discard it.
of?
Yes, we will dispose of the needles just as we do any other needles that are used. Basically, it's with the syringe services program, what we're trying to do is, it's harm reduction, and correctly stated, Livingston Parish is, actually leading the state with hepatitis A infection. And one of the fastest growing demographics for hepatitis A are those that are injecting drugs. And with the syringe services program, what we're trying to do is bring those who are injecting drugs, and also, by the way, we're starting to see a stall in what we were starting to see a decline in HIV. We've kind of plateaued again with the rise of the use of people who inject drugs, as well as hepatitis C. We're seeing again another demographic. So it used to be baby boomers. Guess what? We're seeing another rise with between the 20-something, 30-something-year-olds, people who inject drugs. So what we now know with this program that has been, you know, in effect with 30 years worth of data to show that it is very effective in reducing HIV, hepatitis C, reducing the cost of medical care, because for the lifespan of somebody who needs HIV treatment, it can range from $300,000 to $600,000. To treat hepatitis C, anywhere from $100,000 to $300,000. So that's a lot of cost. So we don't necessarily have to bring anybody in. We work with partners that are already here in the parish, or there may be others that we partner with the health department, and we come in and help them set up this program. And from there, we educate the community. And we know that if we can bring in someone who's injecting drugs into the facility to exchange their needle, we have the opportunity to educate them, to vaccinate them against hepatitis A, to test them for HIV. We also can vaccinate them against hepatitis B as well. And we know for those who come in, they're 5 times more likely to seek addiction care. And so that's one of the other benefits of the program. So they're coming in not only to be screened, we can vaccinate them, we can educate them about the services, any mental health services, or get them into addiction treatment. So it really is one of the best public health services where we can have these wraparound services for this particular group of individuals.
So I was gonna ask you, were you a mobile unit, but you just said you were partnering
No, it will
with-
be, there are different types of programs, where sometimes they go out, to the high-risk areas, but this one in particular, and again, it's all open for discussion. This ordinance will allow us to begin that planning process where we will be meeting with all of the potential partners in this to see which is the best model for our parish, which one is the best one that we feel will work best. If it is at a facility, they come in there, and all of those wraparound services can be provided as well when they come in through the doors. It's getting them into our doors so that we can provide them with the care they need.
And so your marketing strategy as well as identifying a population hasn't happened yet?
Well, we still have work, even with our health units and with our partners, Florida Parish Human Services Authority. They have the addiction the clinics where those with addiction can go and seek help for both mental health and addiction. We're already reaching this population. We're already screening, even in our health units, for hepatitis C. And we provide vaccinations for hepatitis A. But this is a much bigger push because they now can come in and get free, needles at no cost to them, but then we can provide them with those services they need. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate those questions, appreciate those explanations.
I have a question. Who funds your program?
It is through a federal grant, and we work with any agency that would like to have the program, and we work with them. The funding that is federally funded can provide everything that's needed for the program, but it cannot be used for the syringes itself. But we work with the organization to show them how to be able to purchase those needles for that exchange, but it is a federal.
So the federal program does not actually buy the syringes?
No, that we provide the funding, but there is a way that there is a funding mechanism so that the organization is the one that does it, but it's through a certain, a model whereby we assist the organization through the federal funds to be able to buy the syringes.
Good evening, Sunday Winder, also with the Office of Public Health Community Affairs Director. And yes, correct, federal funds purchase it pays for staffing, all the wraparound, excluding needles. The programs so far across the state that are accessible in other areas, these are clinics that are operating, so the clinics have funding for that small amount that may be needed for the syringes, and the federal funds pays for staffing, and pays for, all the other materials for the program.
So the private company would come into Livingston Parish?
It would already be here. It would be a clinic, or
One of our clinical partners.
that's already in place that would want to.
Are there some that are already here now?
Oh, yeah, actually, one of the ones,
potential.
Florida Parish Human Services Authority, and normally they do come with us, for the presentations and all. They already have a clinic, and it's in Denham, where you can come in and seek care for mental health and addictive disorders. That's one example of partners that we can work with. So, we do have a list of potential partners that we can work with, whether it's in this parish or any of the other parishes. We
And
have
you
a
could
list.
pay, so that funding will pay for staffing in the facilities?
Yeah, but we work with them, again, there's a funding model that we, again, we can assist any of the organizations so that really it is at, how can I say, I don't wanna say no additional cost, but it's to help them to use the federal funding to maximize it so there's no problems in obtaining any syringes.
I don't have any more questions.
Okay,
Thank you so much.
you're good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is there any more, discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? Any more from the council? Sandy, you wanna read this introduction? Go ahead.
This is a proposed ordinance 19-39. This is an ordinance to amend chapter 50, offenses miscellaneous of the Code of Ordinances of Livingston Parish by adding section 50-15 syringe services program. The public hearing will be held on December the 5th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m.
All right. So, is there a motion on the floor to introduce this ordinance? There's a motion by Bubba Harris. Is there a second?
I'll second.
There's a second by Scooter King. Call for the vote on this.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Mr. Girlinghouse,
Yes.
Mr. R,
Yes.
Mr. Mack,
Yes.
Mr. Wascom,
Yes.
Mr. Harris,
Yes.
Mr. Averett,
Yes.
Mr. Lavelle.
Yes.
All right.
Shane, I'll say on that deal that
Go
at
ahead.
first glance, I thought this was gonna be kinda like an enabling deal. And so I kinda wanna shy away from it, but if it can be a stepping stone for people to get clean, so to speak, and encourage them to do that, then I think it's a good deal.
I just
Appreciate
wanna,
that, Mr.
they're
Chan.
gonna start doing marijuana papers. You know, give them free marijuana papers if they coming in too, I mean.
You'd like that, would you, Bob?
Yeah, go
Okay,
ahead, Mr.
agenda item
Girl.
number,
You know, I can't believe you said
agenda item
that
number 17.
on TV.
Addition of roads for consideration to the capital outlay priority road list.
McHugh, please don't print that.
17A, Rosemont Avenue and Whitehall Avenue in South Point subdivision. This is, Mr. R.C. Bubba Harris's district. Do we have a motion on the floor to, add these roads to the consideration list? We can do them all at once? All right, that sounds like a great idea. The other roads, 17B, Pinecrest Drive, Meadow View Drive, Copperwood Drive, Lemonwood Drive, Pleasant Knoll Drive, and Forest Ridge subdivision, and that one there is in Mr. Jeff Everett's district. All right. So is there a motion on the floor to, add these roads to the consideration, capital outlay priority road list?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion by Jeff Averett, a second by R.C. Bubba Harris. Is there any discussion from the audience on these particular agenda items? Any from the council? All in favor? Any opposed? Nay? All right. Agenda item 18A. Okay, we had, a couple of board members on Fire Protection District 1 that, did their service and wanted to give others an opportunity to serve, and so they have resigned off of, Fire, District 1 board. That happens to be that district out of Albany there, my district there. And, their names, is Mr. John Thomas and Mr. Brian Neal. And so, I'd like to see if we could maybe, see if there's anybody from the audience that would like to discuss this particular agenda item first. And then if not, then maybe we could get a motion on the floor to accept the resignation letters. We got a motion by Jeff Ard, and we have a second by, R.C. Bubba Harris. Okay, all in favor that we accept the resignation letters from these two particular individuals? Aye. Any opposed? No. Okay. I don't happen to see 18A in my binder, but I do happen to know that, you know how that particular board, the Fire Protection District Board, has one appointment, and then one of those that have resigned is a Livingston Parish appointment. This is 18A.
I don't have, I thought you said you needed it.
No, I do,
That's what you said.
no, 18B. But I happen to know that Mr. Darren Cunningham is the gentleman that was voted on by the Fire Protection District. Is that true?
Yeah, it's right there on 18A.
It's the same.
Oh, it says it on, oh, they
Right
both on the
underneath
same
the-
one.
Yeah, I just don't happen to have his address or anything, but,
They'll be able to get that, that's cool.
but we can ratify that without an address, is that?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, Sandy, did anybody communicate, Lisa Stilley Vaquera, and her address? She would be the Lewiston Parish appointment to replace, Brian Neal. Okay, so we don't have her address either, or her exact spelling? Okay, we can catch her on the next meeting, I mean,
We can go ahead.
Yeah.
we can go ahead and do it?
We'll get it straight.
Okay.
As long as it's right in the middle.
Okay, I would like to appoint Lisa, Stilley Vaquera to the Fire Protection District Number 1 Board. That would be my recommendation if,
I'll make that
you know,
motion.
And
And
say that again?
whose place?
Brian Neal?
I'll make that motion.
So
Okay, so-
you're doing Darren and Lisa?
Yes,
same
sir.
time?
Yes, sir. Ratifying Darren, adding Lisa. Got a motion on the floor by John Wascom, second by Jeff Ard. Any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Whew. 18C. Fire Protection District Number 8. Ratify Fire Board appointment. This is in Jeff Averett's district. Did you want to say if you want me to take care of that?
You can take care of it. See, Jim Rice.
Okay. Did we have a resignation on that or no?
No, this is one that was, I don't
Is
know.
this a reappointment or?
Reappointment.
Okay, this here is a reappointment of Mr. Claybert J. Morales to Fire Protection District Number 8. And, I think what we're doing here, is ratifying. We're gonna, no?
We're just bringing him up to date
Okay,
because he, well, would be ratified.
For some reason, they didn't have no minutes on it.
We have struggled getting minutes from him, as you can see, so we're getting it all updated. And yes, since it is a fire board selection, good ratify.
Motion?
that it
I second.
this is a Fire Board selection. We're ratifying Claybert J. Morales to Fire Protection District Number 8 Board. We have a motion by John Wascom and a second by Jeff Averett. Is there any discussion from the audience on this particular agenda item?
Make a motion.
John.
Jeff Averett seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Agenda item 19, update on the Master Plan Review Committee.
I think we just need to skip that, we'll be all right.
Yeah, let's,
I do too. We'll be here all night.
we got Mr. Gerald Burns, Chairman of the Master Plan Review Committee.
That's right. I want to thank y'all for, putting in $62,500 and also the $125,000. The $62,500 represents a 25% match, towards the $250,000 cost of updating the master plan. And anything else that might bring land use restrictions and whatever. And, the $125,000 represents, the 25% parish match to $500,000 to do a parish-wide master drainage plan. So now we gotta go back to Mr. Mark Harrell and get him to working on getting our grants. So I just wanna thank y'all for doing that. I just feel like we're starting to make a little progress, you know? And, of course, you're representing the master plan and the drainage, but the third part of the master plan is infrastructure in the whole parish. But the master plan, review committee decided to work on the economic corridor as outlined in the master plan, starting on page 36. But it gives us guidelines on how to do this, and of course the economic corridor basically runs east and west through the parish, about a mile south of I-12 and a mile north of Highway 190. It kind of contracts as it goes through the parish. And the guidelines to do the work on the economic corridor is, the purpose of these guidelines would be to make this corridor a vibrant commercial place. Strengthen the parish's tax base by bringing infrastructure and commercial growth, and provide businesses that can support other commercial activities such as hotels, motels, and restaurants, and so forth, and then provide a full range of employment opportunities for parish residents. So we come up with a list of road projects within the corridor to grow the corridor economically and to bring economic prosperity to the corridor and bring residential, commercial growth, and industrial growth. And the committee came up with a list, and then we also went and met with the mayors of Albany, mayor of Livingston, Walker, and Denham Springs. And all of them added things to this list that they thought was important to their cities, okay? So we included those too. And after we done that, we went and met with Mr. Layton Ricks and went over this, and he was okay with this. And then we met with, actually we had a meeting with Mr. Eric Edwards, the committee director of the tourism department of Livingston Parish, and we was trying to get input about this multi-purpose convention center that he wants to build and where, and he wouldn't share that information with us but anyway, whenever that's decided, then this document here can be updated, because if you're gonna put a facility that seats 7,500 people, give or take, and you better have 4-lane road infrastructure to get people in and out in a hurry. So you gotta have that, but we didn't add that here because he don't know where he's going. And, but let me just say this, that these roads, also with Mr. Sam DiGeronimo too, and he was okay with the list. Whether you do the master plan and whether you implement it or not, this road project, these projects here represent a bare minimum of projects to grow the economic corridor. So, if you want to, can we go over the list? We won't spend a lot of time on each one of them, okay? But if y'all have questions about it, then we'll, number one is the Cook Road extension. That one's been on the book a while, and it is 100% funded with the parish match and state funds. The right-of-way acquisition will be complete by the end of the year, and then tentative construction date, according to Forte and Tablata, is December of 2020. Now, let me point out that road, that's called the Cook Road Extension, but the extension itself is only about a quarter of a mile, and it's through the pasture, through the woods to Juven and Carlson. And number two, Juven Road Extension has been on the books for a long, long time, been talked about for about 50 years. And that road is about 1.2 miles. It would extend from Juven Road north all the way to the intersection where Burgess goes. And the engineering design is, according to Mr. Eddie Idell, is 100% complete. The wetlands determination was done, the mitigation was not done. It was only like 2.5 acres total within the corridor. That's all 100% complete. Feasibility study is 100% complete, and waiting on right-of-way acquisition funding to do that. And there's a land swap that has to be done by Mr. Jim Talbot, who owns property next to Northport property. North Park property, which is recreational district number 3, cannot sell land and nor give it away, but they can swap. So Mr. Jim Talbot has agreed to swap some land. So this road would touch North Park property, go into it 100 feet, give or take, and then go back out to give North Park recreational district number 3 full access to Juven Road extension. So they won't have to go around through Eden Church Road no more, than go directly into it. So that's a positive. Florida Boulevard, proposed widening, 4-lane from, Dillon Springs to Walker, which is about 4.6 miles. We broke it up in 4 pieces, to make each section worth, I guess we're talking, almost $20 million. If you break it up into 4 pieces, then you can get $5 million faster than you can $20 million, you see. So we broke it up, and we started it in Dillon Springs to Juven, and then on to Burgess, and then the Pendarvis on into Walker. Let me say that the feasibility study on widening Florida Boulevard, according to Senator Dale Erdy, was done by DOTD. It's a multi-million-dollar study. It was done from Dillon Springs to Livingston. So that study has been done, and that's like phase 0. So that part is already done. Then we went over to Livingston and to install a roundabout south of I-12 in Livingston. A lot of y'all get off in the evening time, maybe to come to this meeting, it's hard to get through there at like 5 or 6 o'clock. You have to wait a long time. And then the item number 8 is 4-lane Highway 63 south of I-12 in Livingston to Oliver Wheat Road. That's at Epic Pipe. Interest is about 0.8 miles. Then the mayor of Livingston added 4-lane 63 north of I-12 to 190, and then a roundabout north of I-12 on 63. The reason why we added that is that there's a proposed, according to Mr. David Bennett, that come spoke to our group, there's a proposed 400-acre industrial park to be built down there, and I think it's moving on pretty fast, I can understand. So if you're gonna build a 400-acre industrial park south of Livingston, it's that somewhere, you need 4-lane infrastructure to feed it. Number 9 is the mayor of Albany, Miss Eileen McCarroll, added 4-lane in approximately 1.4 miles from Highway 190 to I-12. And then number 10 is 4-lane Highway 447 south of I-12 to Bud Ellis Road, which is a 0.8 miles, and then widen overpass I-12 to 4 lanes. The mayor of Walker added that. So you got roundabouts, 4-lane roundabouts on both north and south of I-12, but yet it's 2-lane going over the overpass, so he added that. And then they added a 4-lane roundabout at Highway 447 and Buddy Ellis Road. And Ladder 11 is 4-lane Juven Road south of I-12 to Brown Road, approximately 1.3 miles. Item 12, the mayor of Denham wants to 4-lane, what they call Demco Road, that would start at the end of where Cook Road is at, the extension on Highway 16 all the way back to Range Avenue. Now, developer was gonna build half of it, but that fell through, so anyway, he wants to build the Demco Road. And then item 13 is a new I-12 interchange when you bring Highway 449 south straight into I-12. And the mayor of Walker and his people were really kind of excited about that, because they said every morning those dump trucks that go through Walker going to Woodside Landfill, they pick up an average of 30 bags of garbage every day from these dump trucks. So if you can build a new interchange, and called it the I-449, I guess. But, and the thing about that is that the right-of-way acquisition for that would be probably pretty reasonable because you don't have to contend with buying commercial property and moving, the expensive utilities that you can go out, and most of that property is all Crown Zellerbach land. So you can buy it by the thousands of dollars per acre instead of about a square foot, you see.
Perfect place for it. Next
Yeah.
to the dump, boom.
Well, look, yeah, they were excited about that, and you get off down to the 449 interchange and go straight north to Florida Boulevard, and that when all the, I guess all of the trucks is going to the industrial park and go to Florida Boulevard, all the Woodside landfills, garbage truck, and go down and come back.
Put the truck stops at the interstate so they won't have to stop in Denham or Walker and bottle everything up. It worked great.
Plus it gives Walker
The other entrance, that's right.
Item 14 is a new roundabout at Woodside Landfill and McDermott, the industrial park there, 4-lane roundabout right there. And that's another idea they had. I come before this council, not this particular council, but whoever, we had a different council in I guess 9 or 10 years ago, and I was a spokesman for the Juban North Association trying to get Juban Extension all the way to Lockhart. And I came before the council about 9 or 10 years ago asking them for funds, and I brought a picture and I gave to them, and I want to give you the same picture if I can. Mr. Sandy, can you help me? You pass everybody a picture around. I think you got it. Everybody got a picture? I came before this council about 9 or 10 years ago, and I showed that same picture to the existing council, and my address to them was that we were looking for funding for Juban Road Extension, a brand-new road through the forest, through the pasture, and we'd done some research, and we went back, and the last new road in Livingston Parish through the forest, through the pasture, was in 1920, and that was when Highway 190 was commissioned in 1920, and that gentleman's name is Mr. John Allen Richardson, and they built that road with a shovel and wheelbarrow. And my point was then it was 90 years since we had a new road. Now most of the roads in this parish have been built by developers, you know, and not whether it's logging roads or whatever, but they've been built by developers. But my point was that it'd been 90 years since we had a new road in that parish. But so now 10 years have transpired, and now it's 100 years. 100 years since we've had a new road built by government in this parish besides I-12. So I know we're running way behind. So really way behind, huh? So what we want you to do is to pass a resolution, okay, in these road projects, and supporting these road projects. So if we can take this resolution and we can meet with our MPO members, which is the parish president, the mayor of Walker, and the mayor of Denham Springs, and present them with a resolution by this council that you support these road projects strictly within the economic corridor, then that would go a long way. And the mayor of Denham Springs, Mr. Gerard Lindsay, told me if you could get that done, he would personally bring this road list to the CRPC and the TAC and all the organizations and, you know, that dishes out money to build road projects. So we're asking you to do that, if you could.
Mr. Gerald, would you be willing to help draw up a resolution specifying why you chose these roads, the benefits for choosing these roads, and summarize it with, that we're in agreement
I
and
would,
present it to this council?
I
I think
would.
this council would support that resolution. I can't speak for all of them, but I would. And if you would draft some type of resolution and maybe have it at the next council meeting, I'll be
tell you,
the first one to introduce it for adoption.
Sure, I can do that, no problem whatsoever.
I mean, signifying all the things that you spoke about and all the benefits.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. I have, Mr. Dominic, Adams, who is our vice chair. He can help me do that, because he helped me draft this original letter. He's an attorney who worked for the state of Louisiana. I'd add that we have some really good people on our committee. I'm telling you, we have a good cross-section of the community. And, we have real estate people and appraisers and mayors and councilmen and ex-councilmen. Well, not ex-councilman, but committee. But anyway.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I mean. But we really have a good cross-section of the community, and, so I think we, but I'll do that, Mr. John.
If you would.
We could bring it back to you in December.
That's fine.
I'd
Is
love
that
to.
okay?
Then that way you go.
Sometime in
I'd like to
December.
also say that I do believe in that committee, and I do, it is some fine representatives of Livingston Parish on that
Well,
committee.
yeah,
I think
it's a
that
good
y'all are gonna
cross-section,
make wise
and I-
decisions to help us make wise decisions to lead this parish forward, but I got another question.
Let me say,
Mr. John Richardson, does he happen to be from Springfield, Louisiana? Would you happen to know that?
That's it.
Because that ought to be some of my kin people, because I'm kin to
John
Richardsons.
Allen Richardson.
I'm kin to them Richardsons from Springfield, Louisiana.
They got a bunch of Richardsons over there.
Huh?
They got a bunch of Richardsons over there.
I was just wondering if maybe you knew, you know, thought maybe you were from that.
I didn't know him personally.
Okay.
But
So we don't need
anyway,
a resolution tonight.
He's gonna write it up and it's gonna be proper and we'll get it to you and then you can get it to the people.
I just want to say there, we just looked initially at the economic corridor, because that's what the master plan calls for, okay? Now, there are a lot of other road projects in this parish of south and north that are really, really important, okay? But because the master plan targeted the economic corridor, that's why we've done this, okay? So there are other road projects that really are good, but they're long-term projects, and a lot of them gonna be very, very expensive, but these road projects here, hopefully we can get start.
Well, it takes so long to get them done, we gotta get the ball rolling.
We gotta start somewhere,
Gotta get the
okay?
funding in place.
We've got to start somewhere. I do thank y'all for all y'all do.
Thank you, Mr. Gerald, for all your hard work.
And we'll maybe making some progress on it.
I think
Yes, sir.
I think we'll
Thank
be
y'all
doing
very
some
much.
good work in 2020.
All right, agenda item number 20. Discussion and adoption, of a resolution to authorize a waiver and variance of LP 19-03. This deals with subsurface drainage. This is gonna allow subsurface drainage at these two particular addresses if this waiver is granted. The addresses are 11310 West Ann Drive, Walker, Louisiana, 70785. Do we need to do that in a separate, ordinance? Can we do 13 A and, 20 A and B at the same time?
Next door.
Same resolution.
Unless anybody objects.
Okay, all right. So is there any discussion from the audience on these particular agenda items? Any from the council?
Yeah, this is in my district. I had Mr. Sam actually went out there, had looked at it, he said it would be fine. There's actually a 15-inch culvert there on some of this existing now, and they're actually gonna put it to 18 inches. And there's a 3-inch drop from the top of the road, so.
Make a motion in a second.
Yeah.
I second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Tracy Girlinghouse to grant a waiver for subsurface drainage at these two addresses listed in the agenda. We have a second by John Wascom. No discussion from the audience, didn't appear. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Agenda item 21, District Attorney's Report. That's awesome. 22 is committee reports. Ordinance Chair Committee, Mr. Gary Talbert,
He didn't make
hated
it.
to miss this meeting, but he has a son that plays college football, and he is attending the football game. Good for him and his family.
14 to 14, just a little off.
For halftime, I believe.
So how did you find out that information?
Little bird.
We all got the information.
20.
Watching the game, you didn't hear me yelling?
22B, Finance Committee, Mr. Tracy Girlinghouse is the chair of that committee.
Yeah, we discussed the 2020 budget, and we made, like, we all knew earlier, we made the adjustments for the 62,500 match for the master plan zoning, and the 125,000 match, 25% match for master plan drainage. So asked to have that added to the budget. Other than that,
That was it. All right. Okay, are there any councilman comments?
Well, I'd like to wish Walker High School good luck tomorrow night in their playoff game. Playing #1 at KDM.
I second that.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Jeff Avery.
I'd like to congratulate my friend Gerald McMorris on being the next District 6 councilman.
Hip, hip.
Mr. Gerald happens to be in the back of the audience tonight.
He getting ready,
It's good to see you, Mr. Gerald.
getting ready.
He worked hard, I
He did.
Get
You
out.
did. You did. Any more councilman comments?
Next week's Thanksgiving, I hope everybody has a great time with your families, and we're gonna take that week off.
Let's enjoy those holidays and be very, very thankful.
I got another one.
Okay, Mr. Jeff Avery.
Tam beat me. I second it.
Wait, we have a motion. Wait. Whoa,
Go
whoa,
ahead,
here.
John.
What did you want to say?
I wanted to say, well, that's all right.
Go ahead, John.
I mean, real quick, and I'll make this, Mr. Gerald was talking about how the roads didn't get built. It's been since 1920 since a new road came in. And this past week, I was headed down to New Orleans across the Bonnet-Carré Spillway Bridge. And the distance of that bridge and the pylons and the traffic that travels that, I'm thinking, somebody years ago to build an interstate system across this United States, 1960s, and here we are today in the year 2020, and we still using the same 4 lanes that they did back then. Something is disconnected from what the people who built the infrastructure from this parish back in the 50s. Why they can build, we couldn't get 3 pylons to extend the road when they got thousands of pylons to have a Bonnet-Carré Spillway Bridge. I don't know. I applaud you for trying to bring up the reality. It's time we take infrastructure and roads seriously, not in just this parish, but in this nation. And I mean that.
Let's 4-lane 190 all the way to Slidell. I'm with you.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to close this meeting.
Adjourn.
Adjourn this meeting. Second that was by Tableau Bell. Second by Jeff Avery. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Happy Thanksgiving.